Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everyone for coming back to my channel, and if you're listening in the podcast, once again thank you so much for being here and listening. I'm here guys, there's so much going on, but this is important news. We have a woman who has been missing for nearly 2 weeks, and I needed to come here and make a video about it. We have her name is, let me start with her name. Her name is Chelsea Grimm, and she has been missing for nearly 2 weeks. Okay, 32 years old. I'm gonna put her photo here so you guys can see. And if you're listening in the podcast, please make the effort to look for her photo. Her name once again is Chelsea Grimm, and she had a planned drive from San Diego to a family wedding here in Connecticut. So she was actually coming here to where I am in Connecticut. Not where I am, but the state. So she left for a wedding, and then I believe during her trip over here, and the reason I gotta say, the reason she drove is because she wasn't allowed to bring her dog in the plane. So she took the trip, and in the middle of the trip, she called her family and said, "I don't think I'm gonna make it to the wedding." Okay, and she has been missing. She spoke to her family last on September 27, and she told them that she was in the Phoenix area. And the next day, there is a video of her speaking to a police officer. I believe she was spotted by a cemetery, right? She's also a photographer, so she was spotted by a cemetery, and I guess she called the attention of someone who called authorities on her, right? And there's a video footage of that encounter of her with the police, and she's saying she was crying. She said, "I just got upset because I'm a photographer, I'm taking photos, and I saw a lot of the veterans headstone." I guess that's something that she said. And he's like, telling her, where are you staying, recommending her places where she can stay, seeing her, by herself and emotional, in an emotional state, right? So that encounter was actually caught on video by the body cam of the police officer, right? And then after that, they haven't heard from her, right? So it's very mysterious. Her disappearance is very mysterious. Guys, we are living in very hard times right now. It doesn't take you long to realize everything that's happening in the news. It's like everything is just, there's so much going on right now. And for her to make the effort, I guess, to go to the cemetery and look at the headstone, kind of like picture the stories of the names of the people that she was reading, just walking by or taking photos there. She got so emotional. She's driving on her own, okay, all the way. That's a very long drive, okay, that's coast to coast. And for her to look so emotional like she did on that footage of the police officer is so sad, and it's very, I cannot imagine what the family is going through right now. Her family that was waiting for her here in Connecticut for her to come to the wedding, cannot imagine what they're going through. Let me give you more details. Nearly 2 weeks after a missing California woman car was found abandoned in the Arizona, so that's the other thing, her car was found abandoned with two flat tires. Okay, the authorities are still searching for the 32-year-old who was last seen camping out of her vehicle in a rural area. Chelsea Grimm had planned to drive from her home in San Diego to a family wedding in Connecticut in her white 2019 Ford Escape with a pet bear dragon, but told the family she was stopping to camp, according to the um, Coconino County Sheriff. They say she last spoke to her family, like I mentioned, on September 27 when she was in the Phoenix area. The next day, she had an encounter with the police officer Williams in Arizona, more than 100 miles to the north, according to the body cameras footage. And they're saying she was parked in her car near a cemetery and appeared to be upset. She appeared to be upset. I'm gonna see if I can find you that video so you guys can see it. It's very hard to see her like that. I mean, obviously I don't know her, but somebody who is driving on her own for so long, coming to a wedding, like there's things that have been going on her mind for her to be so easily upset. And I know she probably wanted to make a lot out of this trip, but it doesn't sometimes. Like I look at that, and I know she's a photographer, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, why would she be looking for that, right? Cemeteries are places where a lot of people get emotional, and she's not from the area, right? So for her to even go, this is just me analyzing, that type of decision that she made, right? Knowing little as I know about her, it does, like, you're coming to celebrate something, right? You left your home to come and celebrate with other people. Why would you put yourself in a situation where days before this big celebration, this big trip that you're taking to bring to be around joyful people and a celebration thing, why would you do this trip to a near cemetery, regardless whether you're taking photos or not, right? Sometimes the reason that I'm mentioning this, like, other people will avoid that because, like, I don't want to be upset. I'm in party mood. I'm going to this wedding, and I just want to think about that and have a safe trip. I'm not gonna, maybe on my way back, I'll make the trip over to the cemetery that perhaps she was searching about, and she wanted to stop by to take some photos. But why what led her to make that decision to go to the cemetery? And I'm thinking there's something else behind that. Maybe she was already feeling some type of emotion before leaving to come here to Connecticut. That's just me thinking. It's just, like, when you come into us to celebrate something, you don't make that effort to be near something that is very sad. Not like there are not, when people go near cemeteries or go into a cemetery to do photos or whatever it is, to bury somebody, there's barely anybody, happy there, obviously, right? So, okay, let me just see here. She said this is the transcript of what her communication was with the officer. And he says, "Are you doing all right?" The officer asked her, and she was sitting in the driver's seat, and she said, "Yeah, I'm just doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers, and I got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road." She explained to the officer she planned to camp in the area, and the officer recommended she park her car at a nearby truck stop. Nobody will bother you, the unidentified officer said. Oh, why is it an unidentified officer? It says here in this article. That's like red flag for me, because why? I'm sure they know who he is because they have the body camera footage. So I don't know. It's just probably something that was missing here. 2 days later, after that encounter with the officer, a woodcutter spotted Grimm in the area of Ash Fork west of Williams. He spoke to her and she said she was okay. Authorities say that is the last time that she was seen. So here's another encounter that she had with somebody, and they ask her again, "Are you okay?" Like, when you're out and about, right? We all know when you're out and about and you encounter strangers, like, and just like people like being friendly, people don't ask, "Are you okay?" just because. Usually they either say, "Good morning, good afternoon," like they don't really say, "Hey, are you okay?" Like, you don't ask that unless you're seeing something that can lead you to believe that person is not doing okay. So that second encounter, 2 days after that encounter with the officer, maybe she was still a little emotional about the whole thing. And there, like I said, you're coming out to celebrate something. Maybe on your way back that would have been like a good idea. I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like a normal thing to do. Like, there's something else that was probably going on in her mind that led her to do that trip to the cemetery to do the photo shoot. Even though she was still coming all the way back on her car, right, to the same area, I guess, right? So it says here, we are trying to trying our best to hold on positive outcome scenarios and put our faith in the authorities. That's what her father, Stephen Grimm, said to the media. Grimm family reported her missing to the Phoenix Police Department on October 4. The next day, a group of hunters found her car abandoned on the forest road sits in the Kaibab National Forest south of the Grand Canyon, about 50 miles northeast of Ash Fork. Search and rescue, they're still going on, obviously. Let me tell you, this is so sad, this case, for her to leave like her belonging and to leave her car, and like if she have flat tires now, there's no record of her calling asking for help, and she's traveling on her own, coming to celebrate a wedding. And it's just, the video of the officer, that's what really got me, because she looks very upset. And again, I want to think, why would somebody go and do that? Because we all know, like I said, cemeteries are not a joyful place, obviously. So it makes you think, what have been going through her mind, right? Because that's why you have to, I'm not saying anything about her. I'm saying maybe she was already upset before even coming to this trip. Maybe she was thinking about so many things about her life, right? It's just a lot of people right now dealing with mental health, right? It's almost like, I'm sure everybody's being touched by everything that's happening in the news, the economy going crazy. There's a lot of things. That's why I say to you guys, anybody watching this or listening to this in the podcast, there's nothing that your problems, your circumstances, your struggles cannot compare to the power of God. So if you're dealing with anything, whatever it is, pray to God. God will get you out of whatever situation you're in. You pray. That feeling of hopelessness, that feeling that there's nobody likes you, like nobody cares for you, that doesn't come from the Lord, your creator. That doesn't come from the Lord. Ask God to guide you in prayer. God is so willing to have a relationship with all of us, right? He's our creator. He loves us so much. He sent Jesus to save us, right? So you have to always think, whatever, any time that you think of negative things about yourself, and because the minute you start thinking like that, the enemy is so smart. He'll start putting like people in front of you who will say things, not even thinking it twice, and you're like, you see, it makes sense, right? They say something about my hair, they say something about the way I speak, see, and there you are, like, all in your mind thinking that everybody hates you, right? Always, don't entertain those thoughts. Like I said, that does not come from the Lord. You have to pray about that. Cast the enemy. If you don't know what that is, you can ask for prayer. You can reach out. I always put my email if anybody needs help out there. You can go to my website, send me an email if you need a prayer. All I'm saying, like, I know it's hard. There's a lot of people dealing with very difficult things. I have my moments, don't get me wrong. I know that everybody, this is the world that we live in these days. People compare themselves and they're like, how come you don't have that and that person has the other? And if you're not emotionally stable, that can lead you to think so many things, and trying to speed up your life, I guess you can say, and trying to do things because you care what people are thinking, and you're like, yeah, I'm getting old and this is not happening for me yet, things like that, right? God works everything his perfect timing, and you just have to remember one thing out of anything about this episode that I'm making. God loves you so much. God loves you so much. There's no problem too big for God that he cannot resolve for you. Come to God, your Father, your Creator, in prayer as a child, coming to the Lord in prayer, saying, God, this is too big for me to handle, Lord. I put it in your hands, pray in Jesus' name, and you're gonna see the power of God work in your life. I pray tonight that Chelsea is found safe, that that I just hope that she's found safe. This is so sad, and 32 years old, people waiting for her, right? And her family waiting for her here in Connecticut. Her dad, her other family, waiting to hear that she got to Connecticut safe. And look at where we are now. So I hope anybody who has seen her, who may have encountered her before her car was found, who can come out and give the tips to the authorities. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel and listening in the podcast. Have a good day. God bless.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
New body camera video tonight shows a Williams police officer making contact with 32-year-old Chelsea Grimm days before her car was found on a remote road without her in it. In the video, the officer says they got a call for suspicious activity near the cemetery in Williams, and he came to check on her. Chelsea appears to be upset and explains she was working on a photography project.
Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I just was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers. I got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road.
Her disappearance, days after this video was recorded, has both family and authorities confused, searching high and low for tips as to where she went. Here planning to camp nearby.
Yeah, if it's okay with you,
Yeah.
if I hang out here for another like 15 or 20 and then head on the road, that would be my plan,
Sure.
I think.
Do you have like a hotel around here or anything?
I don't. I was actually thinking of just camping for the night, but I wasn't really sure exactly yet.
Gotcha.
I
Well,
didn't plan to be here till sunset.
the yellow lights, they're the Loves. It's a trucker stopping in the gas station area. You can just sleep there. Nobody will bother you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Hi everybody, this is Julissa. I'm here to invite you to my podcast, Julissa Designs, and it can be found on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can join me every day as I make episodes of the latest news, real life stories, and I also share my favorite Bible verse. Hope to see you then. God bless. Everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to know more about me, you can always visit www.julissadesigns.com. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.